StraightAllDay.com.
Alright, so my top 5 players of the last 20 years. I'm gonna start with Michael Jordan, of course. Michael Jordan, the reason why, he was the most competitive guy. He was the biggest winner. I remember I heard Dennis Rodman say one time, when you got a guy like Michael Jordan on your team, all the pressure on every other player on the team is all lifted off their shoulders because Michael puts all of it on himself. And it wasn't like nothing that he said. It wasn't anything explicit that he would come out and say to people. It was just the way he carried himself, the way he performed every day in games and in practice. He just took all the pressure off you and put it on him. So everybody who played with Jordan they played better with Jordan than they played with anybody else. Almost all the role players, at least. I guess guys like Pippen and Rodman, they was great on other teams too. But everybody else, all the role players, played way better with the Bulls than they played with anybody else because Jordan took all the pressure off them, made the game easier for them. So I think not only would the game be easier for me if I played with Jordan, but it also would make me better as a player. Because every day going against this dude in practice, he pushed everybody, he forced everybody to play at their highest level every single day because he wouldn't accept nothing less. So Michael Jordan would definitely be my number 1. Number 2, I'm going to go with Shaquille O'Neal. Now, Shaq, the reason I go with Shaq, any guard, of course, will love to play with this dude because he's going to get you mad open shots. He's a guaranteed double team. You don't double him, he's just going to dunk on your big man. I remember the Sixers, because I'm from Philly, in 2001 when they had Iverson. Iverson won the MVP that year. They had Theo Ratliff. They traded Theo, who was leading the league in blocks, to the Hawks for Mutombo, who was the best defensive big man in the league. Everybody agreed on this because they knew if they made it to the finals, they needed somebody to guard Shaq. They made it to the finals, and Shaq destroyed Mutombo. He was just dunking all right in his face. Straight up posters, no question about it. Mutombo's there jumping and everything, and Shaq is just dunking right on him like he wasn't even there and laughing about it. This dude was so dominant during that 3-year run, it didn't make no sense. Not even just that 3-year run. You could even say the next year and the next year. When they lost to the Spurs, and then when they came back and lost to Detroit in the finals. He was just so dominant during that stretch. And you look at the players that played with him, they just got open threes. Rick Fox, Robert Horry, Derek Fisher, even Devin George, Brian Shaw. Even Kobe. Of course, we know Kobe's great on his own, but Shaq created so many opportunities for those guys. And at the end of, not the end of a game, but any game situation, if you wasn't getting good shots, just call the triangle, throw the ball in the Shaq, and let him go to work. He was either going to get doubled, and somebody's going to get an open 3. If you can't make it, we'll sub somebody else in who can make it. Or Shaq's going to go one-on-one, either get fouled, get to the line, or he's going to score. That's pretty much all there was to it. So Shaquille O'Neal be my number 2 guy to play with. Number 3, I got to say the man LeBron James. LeBron James, all-around guy. He can play basically all 5 positions. He can score when he wants to. He can create shots for other teammates when he wants to. He can defend any position that he needs to. And right now, he's the best player in the game. He done won MVP how many times? 4 times? 3 times? I don't even remember. So he done won all these MVP awards. Got robbed one time when Derrick Rose won it. That should have been LeBron's trophy or Dwight Howard's that year, but that's another story. The guy's just the best all-around player out there. He might be the best all-around guy in the history of the league. I ain't going to say that yet because he's still playing. He's still maybe only halfway through his career, a little bit past halfway. But LeBron James will make the game easier for everybody. You see every player he's played with. You look at his career. Mo Williams was an all-star with him. You look at Battier, Mike Miller, Ray Allen, even Dwayne Wade and Bosh. These guys, it's easier to play with a guy like him because he can do everything. Any gaps you got on your team, he can fill them in. So LeBron James would be my number 3 guy to play with. And he just seems like a guy, it'll be fun to play with LeBron James. Shaquille O'Neal also. Jordan, I wouldn't say the fun factor would be as high, but the winning factor would be high. And I love to win. I love to compete. So Michael Jordan, that's why I have him number 1. But LeBron, the fun factor, him and Shaq will probably be the top 2. Number 4 guy we'll put on the list of top 5 favorite players of the last 20 years. This is my favorites, not just who I want to play with, but my favorite guys and why. I'm going to go with Vince Carter. half man, half amazing. Now, Vince Carter during his, I'm not talking about Vince Carter now, because now he's more like a role player. I mean, he's still productive. He still gets you double figures every game. He's more of a role player now. But I mean early Vince Carter, from like 99 to about 03, 04, right when he got traded to New Jersey, when they was the Nets. Vince Carter was a fucking show. I mean, I bought the Boeings when he came out with those Nike Shox BB4s. The Boeings, those of y'all who remember the commercial where Gary Payton had like the fake afro and Vince Carter jumped over him and dunked it in the Olympics. The 2000 Sydney Olympics. Oh my God. I mean, if you go on YouTube and just look up, I think there's a mix of his dunks just from that Olympics. Was incredible. Just the dunks this dude was doing, it was just a show. I mean, just playing with this guy. It was probably fun just to watch him do his stuff, do his dunks, do his highlights, dunking on guys, getting the M1s. You seen him dunk on Mutombo. He got Alonzo Mourning, then he added the J, so he made himself even more of a weapon. But just watching this dude play, he was definitely, Vince Carter was my favorite player probably through my college years. Vince Carter was my #1 favorite player. It was just the stuff he did. I mean, if you know Vince Carter, I ain't got to explain to you everything about the man. You know who he is. But those of you who are a little bit younger, you can look up YouTube, the grainy videos. Back then, we ain't had a great technology then, but a Vince Carter. And the #5 guy will probably surprise a bunch of you, but I know a lot of you probably like this dude too. #5 guy had to be Steve Francis, Stevie Franchise. Steve Francis was a guy I liked because, well, he had 3 things that I wanted to have in my game back. This is like early to mid 2000s when he was an all-star in the league doing his thing. #1, he had a crazy handle, crossing dudes over. He had the ball on the string. He could just do whatever he wanted. He basically brought a lot of playground game to the NBA. When people kind of put that on Iverson, but Steve Francis was he did it a little bit more. I remember there were plays when Steve Francis would isolate on a dude and just hit him with moves. He would have him beat, then he would back up and do moves on him again just because he wanted to. And they had a coach that allowed them to play that style. So that was #1. He had the handles. #2, he will pull up for jump shots, pull up for 3-point jump shots out of transition, basically off the one-on-one whenever he felt like it. He basically played however he felt like playing, like a playground type style, one-on-one street ball style. And he had a coaching staff. They had Rudy Tomjanovich in Houston and let them play that way because it was him, Cuttino Mobley, and Moochie Norris in Houston. So they would go with that 3-guard set and basically turn it into a rec league game in the NBA. They had so much talent that it worked. And #3, Steve Francis had bounce. This dude probably had a 40-something inch vertical. He's only about 6'3". He's about my height, about 6'3", a little bit bulkier, but about my height. And the dunks he did, again, he's another dude you can look up YouTube, his junior college mix, like the dunks he was doing in JUCO before he got known, before he came to Maryland. And he had some nice joints in Maryland. He was only there for 1 year, but Steve Francis would be my 5th. So my top 5 favorite players of the last 20 years: Jordan, Shaq, LeBron, Vince Carter, Steve Francis. So tell me what you think of that 5. Tell me who your 5 is and why. Work on your game. Dre all day.
Go. Got it? Yep. Hey, punch card.